Guys, hello and welcome to the first chapter, the first ever reading of Sexy Time, Good Time books. That's what this is going to be. It's going to be me reading sexy books and you listening to them. This first book that I'm going to do, and in this episode, it's going to be the first chapter of this book, or as much of it as I can get through in 15 minutes before they cut me off, is going to be Box by Nicholson Baker. Here we go. "What are you wearing?" he asked. She said, "I'm wearing a white shirt with little stars, green and black stars on it, and black pants and socks the color of green stars, and a pair of black sneakers I got for $9. What are you doing?" "I'm laying on my bed, which is made. That's unusual. I made my bed this morning. A few months ago, my mother gave me a Chanel bedspread, exactly the kind we used to have, and I felt bad that it was still folded up, unused, and this morning I finally made the bed with it." "I don't know what Chanel is," he said. "It's some kind of silky material?" "No, it's cotton Chanel. It's got those little tufts Jesus Christ, I'll do that again. No, it's cotton Chanel. It's got those little tufts. It's conventional patterns, like in a bed and breakfast." Oh, those patterns of tufts. I'm relieved. "Why?" she asked. "Silk is somehow, you think of ads for escort services where the type is set in Faco 18th century script for that discriminating gentleman. That kind of thing. Or deliquesce intimates, you know. I may have just fudged that thing. Deliquesce intimates. You know that catalog? I get one about every week." That's what she said. "I get one about every week." "Oh, do you? You get one every week. All right." "Right. A deluge, lace, filigree, Aubrey Beardsley. No, thank you. All I can think of is, ma'am, those silk tap pants you've got on are going to stain." "You're right about that," she said. "Someone gave me this exotic, Jesus, what's that word? You're right about that," she said. "Someone gave me this exotic Kemsey thing. Not from Deliquesce, but the same idea. Silk with lace. I get quiet. I get very moist when I'm aroused. It's almost embarrassing, actually. So this Kemsey thing got soaked," he said. "What? How's it?" he said. "Anyways, the person who bought it for me." "Oh," he said. "So the person that bought it for her said that," he said. "All right. So what? Throw it away. Use it once, but I don't know. I thought you might want to wear it again. It's really nice to wear silk, you know. So I took it to the dry cleaner. I didn't mention it specifically. I bunched it into a lot of work clothes. It came back with a little tag on it with a little dancing man with a tragic expression wearing a hat who says, 'Sorry, we did everything we could. We took extraordinary measures, but the stain on this garment could not come out.' I took a look at it, and it was very odd. There were these 5-dot stains on it, little ovals, not down where I'd been wet, but higher on the front." This is getting good. Weird. "And the guy who gave it to me had not come on me. He came elsewhere. That much I was sure of. So my theory is that someone at the dry cleaners No. Do you still give them your business? Well, they're convenient. Where do you live? In an eastern city. Oh, I live in a western city. How nice. It is nice, he said. From my window, I can see a street light with lots of spike holes in it for the utility workers. I mean, a wooden telephone pole with a street light on it. Of course. And a few houses. The street light is photo activated, and watching it come on is really one of the most beautiful things. What time is it there? 6:12. Is it dark there yet? No. Is it there? Not completely, she said. It doesn't feel really dark to me until the little lights on my stereo receiver are the brightest thing in the room. That's not strictly true, but it sounds good, don't you think? What hand are you holding the phone with? My left, baby. My left. What are you doing with your right hand? My right hand is, at the moment, my fingers are resting in the soil of a potted plant somebody gave me that isn't doing too well. I'm sort of moving my fingers in the soil. What kind of plant? I can't remember, he said. The soil has several round Polish stones stuck in it. Oh, wait, here's the tag. No, that's just the price tag. An anonymous mystery plant. You haven't told me what you're wearing, she said. I am wearing, well, a bathrobe and flip-flops with blue soles and red holder honors. I'm new to flip-flops. I mean, since moving out here, they're good in the morning for waking up. On weekends, I put them on and I walk down to the corner and I buy the paper. And the feeling of the thong right in the crotch of my toes, man, it pulls you together. It starts your day. It's like putting your feet in a bridle. Are you into feet? She asked. No. On women? No. They're neutral. They're about like elbows in my own case. I do what? Well, I do very often when I'm about to come, I seem to like to rise up on the balls of my feet. It's something about the tension of all the leg muscles and the ass muscles. It puts all the nerves in communication. It's as if I'm coming with my legs. On the other hand, when I do it sometimes, feels like some kind of high school teacher bouncing on his heels, or like some kind of demagogue rising up on his tiptoes and roaring out something about destiny. And then at the very top, you relieve, you come into a tissue, she said. Yep. The things we do for love. I knew this person, a doctor, who once told me that he liked to hyperventilate when he was masturbating, like a puppy. He got very scientific about it. He said that hyperventilating decreased the ionized calcium in the blood, alters neural conductivity, does this, does that. I tried it once. He said, when you're almost there, after panting and panting, he, ha, ha, hoo, hoo, you're supposed to do this thing called valsava, which is where you take a breath and you clamp your throat, shut, push hard, and if you do it right, you're supposed to have mind-blowing orgasms, tingling extremities, tingling roots of your hair, tingling teeth. I don't know, the whole business. It didn't have much success with me, the technique. But he was this huge man, huge coarse beard, huge arms. He loved large meatball subs with that orange grease. And he was so big and so innocent and actually quite shy that the idea of him gasping, His eyes squinted. Right. Hunched over his male organ, though? What the fuck is going on here? I'm reading this like a half-witted moron. His eyes squinted? Right. Hunched over his male organ, though. I have to say I was never quite able to picture his male organ, but the idea of him intentionally, deliberately gasping, swallowing was enough to help me toward a moment or two of pleasure myself. Ooh, on that very bed? On this very bed. Very gassy today. Let's have a drink of beer. Okay, I'll go a couple lines back. This is getting very good, very good. I'm very happy with this so far. Ooh, that very bed on this very bed. But without that Chanel bedspread? Without the Chanel bedspread, which I noticed is my voice popped. Without the Chanel bedspread, which I noticed is leaving little white pieces of fluff on my pants. Get off, you. You see, pretentiously sexy silky bedspreads from Delacuisse would have been more practical after all. Well, right, no. I can see the things in Delacuisse might be sexy, he said. Well, okay, let's do this again. He said. Well, right, no. I can see the things in Delacuisse might be sexy, he said. Garters and all that. They don't do much for me. In fact, the whole Victorian flavor of a certain kind of smirky kinkiness puts me off. But still, I have to admit that when the catalog started coming week after week, early fall, mid-fall, late fall, this persistent gush of half-dressed women flowing toward me in the mail on such expensive paper, with the bee-stung lips and all that, it did start to interest me. Oh, all right. This guy's all right. Now you're admitting it, she said. The male models are quite good-looking, too. Well, but still for me, it wasn't lace hemi-demi camisoles or any of that. I tell you what it was. In fact, it was this one picture of a woman wearing a loose green shirt, lying on her back, with her legs in the air, crossed at the ankles, wearing a pair of tights. Not black tights. I was absolutely entranced by this picture. I remember coming home from work and sitting at the kitchen table studying this picture for about 10 minutes, reading the little description of the tights, looking at the picture again, reading, looking. She had very long legs. Now, did I have anybody I could buy these tights for? No, not really. Not at the moment. They were made of a certain kind of stitch. Not Chanel. Ponytail. Is that the fucking brand? Huh. It's interesting. All right. Ponytail. She was wearing these beige green ponytail tights. See, to me the word tights is much more exciting than just stockings. Anyway, I went into the living room and put the phone on the floor, and then I lay down on the floor next to the phone, and I just studied these shots. Went through the rest of the catalog, but back to this one picture until my arms started to get tired from holding the pages in the air. And I put the catalog face down on my chest, and I went into a state of pure bliss, rolling my head back and forth on the rug. If you roll your head back and forth on the floor, it usually increases any feeling of awe or wonder that you've got going, but no tingling of the extremities, unfortunately. No. And I don't lead. Geez, what am I, a fucking moron? Here we go. And I don't eat lots of meatball subs. I mean, I do enjoy a meatball sub occasionally with mushrooms. I just want to differentiate myself from, you know. Oh, don't worry about that, she said. Your accent is very different from his. Your voice is quiet, compelling. I'm glad to hear that. I was nervous when I called. Oh, all right. So there are two sectors. There are two sectors on the line. I'm glad to hear that. I was nervous when I called. My temperature dropped about 15 degrees as I was deciding to dial the number. Really? Where did you see the ad? Aha! A men's magazine. Which one? This is oddly embarrassing. Jugs? Jugs magazine. Where did you see the ad? There was a pause. Forum. What does your ad say? He asked. Let me see, she said. There's a line drawing of a man and a woman, each holding a telephone, and the headline is Any Time at All. I like that drawing. I've seen that one, he said. That's a very different... I'm going to start that again. I pooed that one. I've seen that one, he said. That's very different from the... Jesus Christ, am I pissing all over this? I've seen that one, he said. That's very different from my ad. My ad has a color shot of a woman with a phone cord wrapped around her legs and one around her arm, covering her breasts. And the headline over the phone number is, Make It Happen. But there is something intangibly classier about this ad than the other ads. Something about the layout and the type that the phone number is in, despite the usual Woman Plus phone image. And I thought that maybe it might attract a different sort of caller. Although, boy, that flurry of assholic horniness from the men on the line when you first spoke was not exactly cucumber sandwich conversation. Oh, that sounds good. I hate cucumbers, but for some reason that sounds good. That one guy that kept interrupting, you like to suck the big cock? How big and brown are your nips? But then, I suppose, we aren't calling for cucumber sandwiches. I wouldn't object. Cucumbers, anyways. But I guess not. Anyhow, here we are, one-on-one, as they say, in the famous fiber optical backroom. True enough. It's getting sassy. It's getting sassy. So go on, she said. You were telling me how you were on the floor rolling your head back and forth? Ooh, yeah. I'm starting to sweat a little bit. Let's have a little sip of our... Have a little vape nation here. Jesus, that went down the wrong hole. This book is going in the right hole. So far, chapter 1. All right. As we continue. Here we go. Oh, right. Well, I was on the floor with the catalog face down on my chest, entranced by those tights. And a conception, this conception of thrilling wrongness, took shape in my brainstem. I had a vision of myself jerking off while I ordered that pair of tights. Specifically, the version was of what? Of being in a bathtub, but on the phone with the order taker from Delaquaise. Ooh. Must be like the hottest shopping website in town is Deliquace. Maybe I'm saying that wrong. Deliques. Deliquace. Right? Alright, so I'm going to do that line over. Of being in the bathtub but on the phone with the order taker from Deliquace, who's got, you know, this nice innocent voice, a mistaken but lovable, over-frizzed perm, a hint of twang, bland face, freshly laundered jeans, cute socks, but probably wearing a pair of Deliquace finest fusion panties. With a chevron, it does say chevron, I don't know, with a chevron of lace or something over her mound. Ooh, okay, I get it. So it's like a chevron of lace over her mound, over her hairy bush, is what he's basically saying with all those fancy words, which she bought at the employee discount while I'm in the bathtub, which is ridiculous since I never take baths. But I'm in the bathtub moving so carefully so she won't hear any aquatic squillips or slaps, you know, that I've taken the portable phone into the bathroom and that I'm semi-submerged. And she says, "Let me check to be sure we have that in stock for you, sir." And during the pause, I arch myself up out of the water and sort of point the phone at my Werner Heisenberg so she can see it somehow or gets its vibes. And at that moment she says, "Yes, we do have that ponytail tights in fawn." I come in perfect silence, making a Smurf grimace. Jesus. What the fuck's this? This guy's a fucking kookberg. Ah, there you go. She said, this is her next line. "That's awful." I know, but I don't know. I was on the living room floor. I don't often lie down there. Were you actually playing with yourself as you envisioned this? Certainly not. I had one hand on the telephone just toying with the number keys, teasing them, and the other hand was lying on the face-down catalog on my chest. Anyway, then I thought I would be embarrassed to order a pair of the tights for myself. Maybe the order taker would assume that I was a transsexual, when in fact I am not a transsexual at all. I'm a telephone clinican. Yeah, that's pretty good. All right, let's just, we're going to keep going just a little more with this. I was thinking we'd get through one chapter per episode, but I'm thinking no, because reading is hard. So we're gonna go a little longer here, and then we're going to call it a day, adieu, for episode 1 of Vox by Nicholson Baker. This is getting very sexy, though. So here we go. We're going to keep going. An obscene phone caller. All right. Let me give you some context. So we just got done. He was talking about, I'm a telephone clinican. And she says, an obscene phone caller. Exactly. And I started to think of who I could order them for. And I thought of this woman at work, a very nice woman, some might say plain, but very nice, who once startled me at this other guy. Jesus Christ, I'm going to start that whole thing over. I was kind of thrown. I apologize about that. I've been thrown off. This is the first part of the first chapter. What the fuck do you want? It's a new thing, all right? So he gets done saying, I'm transsexual, I'm a telephone clinican, right? He's making it funny. I'm a telephone clinican. She says, no, you're an obscene phone caller. Exactly. And I started to think of who I could order them for. And I thought of this woman at work, a very nice woman, some might say plain, but very nice, who once startled me and this other guy by telling us a story of the blue, out of the blue, about some friends of hers who just had a large wedding at a museum during which some during sorry guys, I'm really taking the I'm really shitting the bed on this. So she's telling the story. She came out of the blue. Some friends of hers who had just had a large wedding at a museum during which some thieves backed a van up and loaded all the wedding gifts in and drove away. The wedding gifts were on display, she asked. Yes. Ah, well, that's where that was their mistake. Right? Why would you do that? You put your wedding gifts right out there in front of everyone so they can just go ahead and go, hey, here's the whole fucking pile of goodies. All right. Well, they were punished for it. Anyway, one of the gifts, this woman from work told us, was one of those sex slings that I guess you bolt to a stud in the ceiling so that the woman is, yeah, I know, she said. Well, that's it for this. We're going to cut it off right there. I feel like that.